and so forth. So if we sort of unpack what our decimal notation means, we've got 3.1415, so on and so forth. If you sort of unpack how that works, this is what we're doing. So just for some Haskell code, if we want to take a decimal number, if we want to take a real number and convert it into decimal digits, we take the integer part by just flooring it, and that's going to be the first term of our sequence. And then the rest of it is just going to be the decimal expansion of what's left over times 10. So if you run this, you really do get the digits that we want. So doing stuff this way does have some problems. So if we want to write down 1/3 in the decimal expansion, we never finish. Even though rational numbers should really be the simplest numbers we should deal with. We should always be able to do stuff with those easily. If we represent our real numbers as a stream of decimal digits, we'll never be able to do anything with 1/3. Right? So this gets into the problem of if we wanted to take 3 times 1/3, we'd have to read the whole thing before we could tell whether we output 1 or not. And obviously that's never going to stop. So the next problem is if we tried to do sine of some stream of decimal digits, it's not really obvious how that's going to work. So knowing a decimal digits don't really help you out for figuring out what the sign of a number is easily. But the more philosophical problem is, why did we use 10 when we're calculating what the digits are? So obviously it's because we have 10 actual digits, but sort of that's not very satisfying mathematically. So let's go back and do that again, using what they call continued fractions. So we're back to pi being 3, except a little bit more. But now the second part here is just 1/7. It's very nearly 1/7. Except that's not quite 7, it's a little bit more than 7. But this bit here is 1/15 and a bit more. So you can see we're sort of expanding out what's left over in a different way than we were doing in the decimal system. Okay, so if we want to see how we do that, the code works pretty much the same way. So suppose we just, because that's really real unwieldy to deal with, let's just write the continued fraction representation as just a list like this. So the continued fraction for a number is just going to be a list of integers. That's all the type is. If we want to take a real number and convert it to a continued fraction, then if our number is already an integer, then we stop. And our list just has one element. So if our number is exactly 3, then our continued fraction is just 3 and then nothing else.